Frequent flyer flies, la 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 la. Frequent flyer is back.
What's up? You checking out the Frequent Flyer. Welcome back to the channel. Smash the like button to show your support. And if you're new to the channel, I'd like to extend a warm welcome. Today we're going to have a look at the light RC drone from Furnifaad. I think that's how you pronounce this company. It's Furnifaad. So this is a glow drone that does Wi-Fi FPV. And so from the name, the light RC drone, we do expect this thing to have some lights. Check it out. So really nice neon type lights in the front. Here we have green and purple in the rear. Very bright. Can easily make out your orientation when flying this thing at night. So it's an awesome night flyer. But unfortunately, the other feature, which is Wi-Fi FPV, isn't that well implemented. It's actually really hard to get me to like Wi-Fi FPV. The reason for me not really liking Wi-Fi FPV, it's always a delay in the transmission from what's going on in real time, and it also freezes and drops frames and all. And so you really can't do FPV with it. I really don't think it's a good idea for companies to keep coming out with these Wi-Fi FPV things. I think it's some kind of fascination with the phone being able to connect to your drone or whatnot. But the Wi-Fi FPV thing just isn't it, if you ask me. Usually when you hear FPV, you're thinking that you're going to be able to navigate this thing around by looking at it through the eye of the camera. But the Wi-Fi part is what messes all of that up by dropping frames and having that delay in it. So you really need 5.8 gigahertz FPV in order to have a decent FPV experience. As far as flying, this drone also has another issue. The other issue is it might be because of the weight of the camera and all, and this little pod on top and everything, but this thing suffers from vortex ring state. It goes down, loses altitude a lot when you're doing maneuvers and everything, so it's not much of a good sporty flyer when it gets to maybe the middle of the battery. In the beginning of the battery, when the battery is fresh and all, it has enough power for you to do some sporty flying a little and have some fun. But once you get to the middle of the battery and whatnot, it starts to suffer from vortex ring state. It starts losing altitude on turns and stuff like that, and becoming more of a battle to keep this thing in the air rather than having fun with it. And it does have these protective barriers around it, whoop style hoops on it or whatnot to stop the props from getting banged up. And it even has protection over the top for the props. I guess that's so people don't get their fingers caught or anything like that, because this pod over top pretty much protects it from the ceiling or hitting anything on the top of the prop as far as flying up into something. I guess a branch can probably still stick in there if you're flying it outdoors around some trees, but for the most part the props are pretty protected. I don't see you destroying any props or anything with this guy. And so let's look at the transmitter. The transmitter is pretty decent, not bad at all. This drone does have altitude hold, and most of the buttons on this transmitter are labeled with symbols. You just have to figure out what these symbols are. This one here is the one press landing. This is the one press takeoff button. And these are trims. Trims for forward and trims for back. Trims for left and right or on this side. This one is to return to home, but it just flies backwards down the heading. And this one here is the headless mode. And so headless mode, I'm happy to say that the headless mode is a useful headless mode. It does set the heading when you first turn it on, and so depending on which way it's facing, you can set the heading when you first plug it in, and that will get you out of a bind. I'll explain later in the flight how you can use that headless mode that this thing has as a useful headless mode to get you out of a bind. And It does flip. It has 3 speeds. And this thing also has an issue with the yaw. I guess they put it in there as a gimmick for you to play around with and whatnot. But if you hold the yaw to either direction for more than 4 seconds, then this thing starts spinning very fast. And so sometimes that gets in the way when you're flying it on low rates or even mid rates. When you're trying to apply yaw, if you apply yaw too long, it just spins out of control. It starts spinning fast. The high rate yaw is pretty fast. So the high rate yaw is fast enough for you to pretty much get your yaw turn in or whatever you're trying to do before it activates that mode where it starts spinning very fast. It comes with an extra battery. That's another thing that I forgot to mention, that this has proprietary batteries. And so the batteries charge up with a USB cable there. And also on this drone has obstacle avoidance. And so it has optical sensors on all 4 sides of it, and on the bottom there's an optical sensor here. And so only in low rates this thing will do obstacle avoidance, and you can control it with gestures with your hand, just like the obstacle avoidance toy grade drones do. And so that's about it with this guy. It comes with an extra set of props. It comes with a USB cable to charge it up. It comes with a little screwdriver to get the battery compartment open on the transmitter. And once you take that screw out of there, you can leave it off because it does have a clip. This thing takes 3 AAA batteries. That's just about it. It flips really nice, and that's all I have to say about it. So let's go check it out in flight. Alright y'all, so it's super wet out here, but hopefully I'll just be able to show you guys the flight characteristics of this real quick without any mishap. Let's get this guy in here. You can see the lights are really colorful and all. So should be able to fly it out here without crashing or anything. So let's take off with it. So we're in low rate too. So let me bring it out here. There's virtually no wind. So we can look at low rates here. Oh. So if you hold it too long, it'll start that crazy spin there. Check it out again. That's the low rate. Then it goes into this fast spin if you hold the finger on it too long. If you hold the direction. So this is side flying and low rate. So this is forward flight. That's forward flight. Backwards. Let's see if we can pull off a flip. So that's a flip. Flips to all directions. No diagonal flips. Let's try back flip. Start losing a little altitude. So let's try. We're in second rate now. So let's look at the yaw. As the yaw gets a little faster now. You really can't hold it that long though, because it goes off into that crazy fast spin. This is side flying here. So it gets kind of sporty. Forward flight. Let's do backwards. That's backwards there. Okay, we're gonna see is there. There's the third rate there. This is the yaw. So the yaw faster now. You can get a complete revolution without it going into that fast spin. Let's see if it'll still go into the fast spin. Yep. So this is side flying. Now here's where it starts losing altitude a lot. That's forward and backwards flight there. Look at the funnel. This is the best funnel we can get. Well, that fast yaw kicks in for the funnel. So I guess you can't really do a nice funnel without doing that, activating that fast yaw there. And so let's try headless mode. Let's see, headless mode is, I think, this button. Yep, we're in headless. I don't know what's going on with it though. It's saying that the heading is diagonally off to the side of me or whatnot. But I thought I had it facing away. Let's see. Let's press this auto land button. See if I can press it. Okay, so that works perfectly though. So I'm going to turn this thing off and then turn it on, switch it on with it facing away from me like that. Okay, and so the heading now should be directly ahead when I activate the headless mode, if it's a useful headless mode. So let's see if we can take off with it again. Go back in third rate again. Fly it around a little. Try to get it confused. So we're facing that way now. So let's activate the headless mode. Okay, so the headless mode is a useful headless mode. Let's see if we can do that crazy spin and still control it. Yep, we can, but it's losing altitude like crazy. I had to give it some throttle. Well, yep, you can control it in that crazy mode. It seemed like the heading got off a little bit. So I guess that's not really ideal. Let's bring it back to normal flying. Okay, so let me show you guys what the headless mode is really for. We're going to do the auto land it right here. And so let's turn it off. So I'm going to turn it off, turn the transmitter off, turn it on facing this direction here, straight ahead. How this useful headless mode will help you in this case scenario here. Say you're flying it around and all, you're having fun with it, as I'm doing now, and then you lose orientation. It's actually facing that way, I can see, but let's say that we lost orientation just now. So if we hit this headless mode button, then we can bring it back effectively. See, it'll just come back to me. The heading is away from me, so it doesn't matter which direction it's facing, the heading is still in front of me. So if I wanted to pull it back towards me, it will come back towards me. If I wanted to go to the left, I hit to the left, it will go to the left. And it doesn't matter which direction this thing is facing, it'll still act that way. So that's how this headless mode is useful. That's why I call it a useful headless mode. It actually works. And so as long as you're facing away from you with the quad when you first power it up, then whenever you activate headless mode, it'll have the heading set as in front of you. Now when I was doing that crazy spinning and flying around with headless mode, it did lose its heading a little bit, but I guess in that case scenario, it wouldn't work for you. Okay, we're losing altitude with this guy. Let me bring it in. It's notorious for losing altitude. Once you're starting to shoot the battery and you're flying around with it, it just gets caught up in its own vortex ring state a whole lot. So I don't even want to risk doing it out there and have to go all the way around outside there to get it. So we're just going to land it. I pretty much showed you guys everything that I needed to show you guys about this. And so it's a pretty decently lit quad, awesomely lit actually, with green in the front and purple in the rear. You shouldn't have any problems with flying this thing at night. But my issue with it is just that it gets caught up in its vortex ring state a lot. It's kind of heavy because of the camera and all, and the camera doesn't work very well. As far as what it's supposed to do, FPV or whatnot, it's typical with these Wi-Fi FPV cameras though. They usually skip frames and stuff like that. You can't really FPV with them without crashing into anything. Some people say it's just to line up a shot or whatnot, but in my opinion, these cameras, the pictures that they take aren't worth anything anyway. So I really don't like these Wi-Fi cameras. And so that's it. It's the light drone from Furnifaad. I think that's the name of it. Thanks for watching.